Welcome to this transmission of the Initiatic ways. Today I was eating from a poisonous tree, and it's known as a tree of life and death. And I had the guidance by a person that was preserving and very in contact with all this wisdom of the earth, and he told me this is a poisonous tree, but it's very delicious to eat from it. And it's like, okay, that's kind of scary, but when you know how to do these things, you can enjoy the fruits of the connection of life and death. This was hours ago that I was eating from that tree and being taught by this wise guardian of a sacred place. And that's why I'm wearing black today. This is a way of a funeral at the same time. I had strong transformations with the connections and any encounter with death. And this is something that may make our ego escape or more attracted, depending on our attitude. I will just offer this coordinate of how we are dealing with death itself, and in a sense of letting die parts of us. Every transformation requires our approach and incorporation of death, because it's going to happen and it will intensify the meaning of life. One of the most deep initiatic teachings I have had is learning how to die. And many of you have seen that class. It's up there. I highly recommend it. But today we are going to be applying with the implications that I just experienced, and that's why this was an emergency, something that emerged in my life that I applied and implied myself. What I mean, I implicate is like this is not an psychological or mental exercise. This is how we apply it in our lives. If you listen and pay attention in this moment, from this hour you will win assets, resources that will empower your framework to deal with emergent things in life. I promise, because I am talking from the experience. I came back to these teachings and this wisdom, and I had very deepening and powerful experiences just because of knowing this. So here is the sharing. Are we ready to start? I see the enthusiasm in the faces, like yes, okay. I love that I can see many of the faces because of I have you here and I have you here in the future in high quality. In here I will be able to share screen, but in the future I just did an artistic drawing here. You may see it. Show it first here and then here. You can take a screenshot of this. Anyway, I will show it in a while, but I highly recommend you to have a paper to draw it. Just by drawing this cross with a circle and everything that you are learning of each emergent quadrant will be very useful. Yeah. So this, I will explain the symbols, the hieroglyphs that are in there in a while. But just for you to have this map. This is the map of the hero or the map of the magician, as Parise has synthesized it. So these teachings have thousands and thousands of years. And my initiatic mentor, Jose Luis Parise, has decoded this in a majestic way, using all kinds of logic, psychology of like the Jungian, the Freudian, the Lacan, all the psychologies and the self-awareness, self-knowledge journeys are applied in here. And I will just put this as a reference, because this is from where I got it, from where I learned it and refresh it. And how I apply it is in every day. Just today, I was just this morning I was in the Alps. This morning at 6:30 in the morning, I was in the Alps at the sunrise. Yesterday I didn't know that would happen, that I would be in the Black Forest, in the Stonehenge of the Black Forest, in a sacred circle of stones full of energy, in the highest point of this mountain that I went suddenly to find a source of health, a source of purity. That was my original intention. I am looking for a source of well-being to regenerate my being, and this morning manifested into this beautiful landscape moment with this Stonehenge and all the souls that were in there, that now they are appearing, or they are shown as a graveyard of the First World War. There are the names of the fallen soldiers in there of the First World War here in Germany, in the Black Forest, in the Valley of Hell. Just to give some references, and I had to cross through the Valley of the Witches to get to the Hell Valley into the Dark Forest. So you may understand why I'm in black in the funeral, because this morning when I was in there, suddenly the guardian that was leading me and opened the doors of this magical place. Remember, every guardian is at the door of has the keys, or is keeping the door of a sacred place. I will just bring these heroes coordinate. There's always a guardian, there's always a guide, a gatekeeper, and Sphinxes. All of these are symbols that are playing and waiting there to manifest. In this case, it manifested in this guardian that was guiding me to this sacred place, and he had a test for me. As you know, a part of me, of who I am, many of you here are in the Akashic Records lineage, and for keeping my practice, I don't drink alcohol. I quit alcohol a long time ago. I don't drink alcohol. That's a part of me. But he is a sommelier, a master chef, and he had great wines, and that was his way of celebration. And that was a test for me. I don't drink alcohol, and certainly not at 6 in the morning. And certainly not at 6:30 in the morning, for sure. So that was one of the tests, how it presented. So going beyond myself to my personality and my personal restrictions not remove me from a sacred opportunity, that's one of the movements to do. And that's a great starting point. The death of ourselves. Some part of us that is dying, that was preventing me from the result, the heroic result I was on quest for, on my way to. Make sense so far? For the ones who already have seen the map, I know this is an introductory, and all of this will be very clear, and you will see many of these patterns in your life at whatever degree you are listening and letting this in. This will be our awareness expanding, because we're expanding at the moment our awareness. So anyone who has seen the map before, which quadrant I am talking about? You can see the quadrants of the map. Which quadrant I am talking about? You can type it there or like point it over there. Yes. Okay. This is from where the warrior starts. We were talking about the graveyard of warriors, of soldiers, and the archetype of the warrior, the initiatic warrior, starts in the impossible. We start in the impossible. That there was something in me. The impossible quadrant talks about the something that I am. There's a falla, it's called in Spanish. Maybe we can translate it as failure or fault. There's some part of me that I know that maybe not making noise. I have a failure. How can it be? No, isn't it the new age in us? The new age in us will say, no, if everything's perfect. If everything's perfect and you cannot see your faults, you cannot see your failures, your mistakes, you're probably having many things that are impossible. This is a quadrant that operates from that logic. The mind gets trapped in, this is just how I am. I don't drink alcohol in the morning, so I cannot receive. This is the game of the ego. The ego results that the result that the ego wants to catch us in this quadrant of our journey or stage is, I cannot receive. No. If I have told him, no, I don't receive alcohol. I cannot receive your giving. I cannot receive your way of love. I cannot receive because this is how I am. I would have lost a huge opportunity of what came after because of this. And I will explain the Sphinxes in this quadrant and what movement I did there. What movement of the psychism, the psyche I did. First, I do not identify, let me show it here, is ID. You can take note of the Sphinxes. We will do a brief recap of the Sphinxes of each quadrant. If we get the 14 Sphinxes in this half an hour, we are going to be doing something epic. So, this is the quadrant of impossible, and I don't identify my failure. I don't identify my fault in this. I don't identify if I am having a fault in any of why this is not possible for me. This is impossible to me. That's the first Sphinx. The second Sphinx, no, it's just a small fault. It's just a small mistake. Reducing the fault. Reducing the fault. This one is the fault. Yeah, I have seen it. I have it covered, guys. I have it don't worry, I already have it covered, and this is a small thing, or I already did it. But another best example, so to frame it clear. Someone that is a person that screams a lot, that's a very loud person. Everybody says, no, we don't want to talk with you, we don't want to invite you to parties because you are loud. You're loud and you're taking space, and it's impossible to be around that person. And that person may be believing that it's not their fault, it's everybody that is sensitive. So it's not my fault. I cannot even see Or no, I'm just screaming a little bit. Or no, I went to an anger and like loudness, communication skills, and I already have it covered. That could be the Sphinx. No, don't worry, I already deal with it. So that's the first three Sphinxes. And the fatal one, this is a fatal one. We're talking about things that need to die in us for us to grow and to make possible things. This is one that if you get stuck in this, you probably get stuck for a long time or forever, for an incarnation or many incarnations. The failure is there is no failure. This is how I am. This is just how I am. This is how I am, and how there are things that are not for me because of who I am and how I am. That's a failure that can keep us forever. I don't need to change. There are things that are just impossible. I don't need to grow. There are things that are just not for me, and that can remove us easily from the way. And the ego here will have won in the not receiving the opportunities, not receiving every door that opens, every gift that is given to us, because you can get stuck in many layers in this quadrant. So I would not have received the gift of this guardian, and he's crying. He would then, after that, he felt received. After this receiving and celebration, and he brought the bread. He was very Christian. He was very Christian, and he was wine and bread. And what mythology we were playing there? I was with the hair loose, right? I was there with the hair loose, and his name was Joseph. So you get some orientations already, right? So you see which mythologies are being played there. So he brought the bread, and I understood the codes, the coordinate of this. And okay, the bread, okay, let's spread the bread. And a simple bread that I break the bread and share the bread. But he started like getting moved just by that. So imagine the powerful the moment that was, that door opened forever. It was like we are, so family, we are like recognition. This is like beyond this moment. We created a moment, a transcendent moment, and that is what this is about. Let me see if I can put the screen here. This is in the main screen. That is the initiatic map. Imagine that I'm synthesizing this in 1 hour. The logic of the map of the hero. Look at all those coordinates that I am synthesizing, and in the middle there is the steps and everything. So this is a treasure, what you brought yourself to. You can screenshot this, or it's easy to find. This is a compilation of Paris, but you need like hundreds of hours to decode this and use it while using it. You don't need that to use it. You are using it already, and any degree of using of this map and way is going to be very powerful. This is what we are in a heroic and legendary path. We are making an extraordinary life, and that's why we start here. That's why we start in this quadrant of the what is impossible, because I don't need to be a hero to make common things, like to be like ordinary things. From here we can transform every ordinary little thing into extraordinary and magic. That's what we are aiming to. Transforming every little thing and appear simple and common into extraordinary, and then we start unfolding bigger things, bigger, epic, transcendent things. So, what likely we don't do? We just believe that we just are that way. There are things that are impossible, and this class is special for the revision of how to start over, how to come back to my path and my alignment again. So there's a movement that is shown in that quadrant, and it's a crucial tool that we are going to use in our life many times. That's called the Bi-Phasic Ignition. Bi-Phasic Ignition. Bi-phase. 2 phases, ignition, start over, initiate. Like really initiate and act as an initiate, not start over because I failed, because I usually start things and I go starting things and they don't happen, or the opportunities closes. It's not just to go back to zero. It's to align to where my extraordinary and heroic manifestation is located. So these are words like sound extraordinary and manifestations, and probably we may confound it with the law of attraction and all these techniques that manifest your reality, and there are great techniques that are embedded in here, but I want to revise the steps before those techniques. And that's why we do a Bi-Phase Ignition, to revise the steps previous to the scenario that is emerging in my life. Are we there, or I just like pull back too much? You can write a little bit or do it like this. I see you. Bi-Phase Ignition. Bi-Phase Ignition. This is an important tool to go back and revise where we are in life. What is it? The source of the manifestation of the events and the reality happening. So, we go to the manual of the steps. You have this on the Hero's Way. I will do a brief recap of this for us to have the whole Sphinxes and the first steps until we arrive to our test, the first test of if we are in a good track and up to the circumstances, if we are understanding which is the Sphinx that usually makes us stay or go back, or bring a prison, or like or shrink us. And those are cases that if we don't see them, our reality will be less powerful every time. So this is a prevention and reignition to our path. Here we go. So who knows the step 0 that I put here? Who has seen the step 0 from the recordings? I am or I'm not. Be or not to be. That is the step 0. Is what I'm living mine or not? That was a segue to the step 0. Is it what I am thinking? Is it what I am living right now, mine or not? And that already puts us in the meta-awareness, because we are so in ourselves. The ego gets us all the time, like all the thinkings, the sequence of thoughts, actions, emotions, imaginary, and everything unfolds there. And hides these deeper rooted things that are embedded there. And if we don't go back to step 0 and revise what is the source of these manifestations, we are going to be catching waves of things that are already late to catch. So this is a technique to go into the most subtle manifestation of cause of the manifestation, the most subtle cause of the manifestation. So when I get to step 0, something in application for this not to be a mental intellectualization. For example, right before starting, initiating this call, I had to clear the space in the cell phone. Empty space in me. So whenever we are full of something, whenever we are full of others, of the other, full of ego or full of shit, this is the first step to make. I clear some shit that is not useful in the space of the cell phone because I needed to fill it up with things that are this epic. Because this is who I am and I'm filling it with this. So first step is not just filling me from things of the other, from things of my own, that is of owning my ideas, owning my shit, and discarding unsynthesized, unprocessed, not mine things. That's the step 0, the synthesis. The synthesis and as the process of synthesis also needs to empty. So you can, I think I put it in the channeling training. There's an initiatic move that is the conscious shedding. Technically you are producing shit all the time, but you put it out when you believe that you're shedding. So it's like a moment to put it out. So that's an awareness that already we can have, like, okay, sometimes I'm about to start something, but still with the things of the past in me. So I also went to the bathroom before coming here, so I at least know that I won't die from the plant that I ate today, from the fruit of the thing. So I know that that's working. So that's step 0. Meta-awareness, this source of from where is manifesting, the source of the causes of manifestation. Emptiness. Step 0. Step 1. The why, the from where comes the intention, the from where I am coming, from what place, from what idea, from what stage I am manifesting this. So I can catch the why with this, knowing what's not mine and what's mine and what I am thinking, when I can catch my thoughts and start listening. The step 0 already made a forward to start paying attention, meta-awareness. Step 1, the why I'm doing this, from where I come. Step 2, the what is my direction. This is purely geographic, if you want to see it this way. From where I'm coming and what is my result. That is my where to, where I'm going. So you're already tracing in the first 2 steps, you're already tracing a path. Then you will open up the where you're going according to what you are saying. Your word is the opener and the creator. You are acknowledging your creator power that was through the word. So what I am saying, I start listening and I start making a feedback. And then we have the step 3, that is the how. The how and the way, to put it in the double meanings that the English requires, multiple meanings. So the way, in this step, is where the New Agey techniques start. If we skip the first 2 steps on the step 0, that's why most of the techniques of the New Agey law of attraction are not working, because we have not revised deeper. So this is when the how do I do it, the how-tos, how do I get that, how to do this. You know, the mind already starts thinking in how this makes me feel, so I already start depending on how the other makes me feel, and I start in a position of how I feel and how to get somewhere or something that I don't know if it may be mine, and most of us have crashed when we start in this step. Like, yes, I want to manifest this great house, this great family, all the scripts, but sometimes we use these powerful techniques of law of attraction, and then we realize it was not ours. Has it happened to you? There we are. So, this step is about the way I am, the way I feel, the way to what I want. Is the how, and the way is the alignment of my affections. How do I align my affections to my word, to my steps, to my next steps? So, also this is a step of the love, like the feeling the love for what I want, the imaginary that is already generating an emotion in me. So that can help us to tune the vibration, how I am vibration, and aligning to have signal. This is a step of generating a signal that will start attracting signs. Step 4. The signal, when you become a signal, you start attracting signs. Start doing the match. You come outside and start having this feedback with the universe. And also, as many of us are channelers in this call, this is the step of the oracle. This is the step of the having the signs being shown to us. Having the capacity of reading the signs. It's not only a signs seeker. That's also how the New Ages get trapped. Oh, look at this synchronicity. Oh, 11-11, 12-12. Many of people get stuck in that and do not use the signs. You can get the signs, but if you don't know what they are saying, or they are confirming, or what they are appearing, why they are appearing, it's like just like a kind of a mental orgasm, and that is wasted. Has it happened to you like that? Like, oh yes, because now the conjunction, and you didn't use that conjunction of whatever planet or whatever sign. It's a 11-11, what? So what I was thinking when this happened, what is this confirming? Like the first steps that we were defining, the what is this confirming, where I'm going, from where I'm coming, what's my state, so I can see and read it. So this is the oracle step that we learn. We develop our oracle, or we find oracles outside. So we will receive the knowing of the signals and the hearing and considerations. So also we will have, if we are on a good track and we have allies and we meet the guardians and we suddenly open up we have the green light, we can have the three lights, the green, the yellow, watch where you're going, or red is no. For example, I can apply this into, I will implicate myself, and for example, I wanted to finish the book that I'm writing. And suddenly they tell me, if you don't finish the book by the 11th, you're out of the book, and the next year we can also not put you there. So this was about to become impossible to me, but I was like, okay, what's the sign to work on? And I was escaping that writing of the book because of the initiatic and internal journey that biographical chapter meant to me. But I was escaping from it. And I needed to have this time deadline that was a message from the universe. Hey, this is like, you're about to have a deadline. We are warning you. That can be a sign. And then I open a video, I get guided by my guides, I open my records, I connect with my guidance to have also further assessment on this. And they tell me, watch this chapter of Paris. So I watched this that was about frustration, sadness, pain and sorrow. It was about that, imagine. And here we are. And it was like, whenever you get an opportunity that will frustrate you not doing it, that is enough fuel for doing it what you need to do. So I was facing to this of, okay, the sign told me this deadline. My mentor told me, you are going to be very frustrated if you don't do this. So that made me do it in one day. So I wrote in one night the whole chapter, and that before it took me 3-4 months. So that was how I understood and acted in accordance to this. And I had the amulet here of my mentor. That was, hey, remember that when you are under pressure, when you are about to put in a position of pain, suffering, and angst, use it. The magicians use everything. So my oracle and my mentor brought this for me to act and pass to the next test. I just bring this in this step because that was an amulet to me. That ignited and was a go sign. It's like, okay, nothing's going to stop me. So, when I was in the quadrant, as I started, this is impossible for you because it took me so much to write. How can I write in 4 months, in 10 days what I did in 4 months before? This is impossible to me because I usually escape and all do these things. I got the growth. I had to do the magical crossing of growth. Stimuli, stimuli, stimuli. Make it grow. Keep writing. Stimulate. Stimulate that. Write. So I did not stop until it's finished. That's why I write it in one night. That was the crossing. It was like, no, this is impossible. Okay, I won't stop growing. I won't stop doing it. And adding until it's finished. So, this is the quadrant with the magical crossing that brings us to the Sphinxes here. I will just bring the Sphinxes of this quadrant so I can fulfill the promise of the Sphinxes. So in this quadrant we can put, the first one is the absence. Someone checks out. In here when we are growing, some absent, I will bring an example. A way of absence is not just not being there. This can be one. I get absent of myself and I stop growing. Right? So that's one of the things. Which Sphinx is catching me when I'm about to grow. Absence, or somebody leaves. This can be I leave myself in presence, or somebody leaves. The other is angry. A-V-A-N. Angry. Somebody gets angry. Or I can get angry and bitchy. It's like because this and that, and you get angry about something that has been bothering for a lot, or it's hyper stimulating and it's overwhelming, and you can get angry. Check if this is happening in humanity now, that is hyper stimulated to grow to the next phase of life, you know? It's like we are there, and getting angry or absent is a sphinx that can catch you and leave you there, not growing ever. This is the game of the ego is, or the result of the ego here is to really don't care, to make you not care. It's the same. Sometimes it works, sometimes it not. You know, like so. It doesn't matter really if I grow or not. It's like it's just the same, you know. So you don't grow. You just stay like in the teenager that doesn't want to grow because everything's the same, and that's the game. That's the result. And well, the game we don't have time for this time, but we have worked on the game before. This one is there is no growth. I don't recognize the growth. There's no growth here. That can be in a sense of no, nothing. Nothing of what I have done right now was growth, and you cannot see it. The ego will make you not see the growth, or make you believe that you are above growth. This is just a small thing, you know. It's like I know. This year I faced depression, whatever. I faced depression. I just like fell into addictions again, and then I come up, but that's normal for me. That's something I just do. No, that's huge. That's huge. If you don't acknowledge that, for example, I fell into depressive states many times. I absent myself with food, and then I start growing, and I get fat. I got like 3 kilos because of absencing from my pet. And it's like, start eating, absenting myself. Then I get angry because I gain weight, because I grew too much. Then it's like, no, I don't care. It's like, I will just accept whatever, that this is the situation, and I can reduce it or believe it's like, no, I just do that. It's like a way I am. And it's not easy to get out of depressive states, to handle weight very well. So when you own this, when you own your growth, or you understand why you were growing, you can get out of these sphinxes. So many of us may be stuck in here. We can see a pattern. I will just, because I will implicate myself, and I'm already showing how my initiatic trips recently have shown me these deep things about myself. Remember, all initiatic trip is destined to know ourselves. So you will know things about yourself deeper and better before, and you will master them. We are already in higher steps, but that's not just solving situations, it's mastering situations that usually traps us. What we are learning here is mastering our reality, not solving emerging problems. This is a tool, step 5. This is one of the tools. It's super important. We will use it always, but it's a mean to the mastery. So when we have this, I was mastering myself, and I realized that I started eating when I started absencing myself, feeling under pressure, not acknowledging that I have been growing a lot to move to Germany, to learn a new language, to keep going, to grow the lineage, to grow everything, grow, my family, grow everything. And this quadrant also brought me to my childhood. That's super embedded there in the subconscious. And then I realized I was reproducing these primary sins of getting fat and listening how the family was telling me that I was heavy and that I was weighing a ton, and I started growing because I am an adult man. I was pretending that I was adult. I wanted to grow up, and I was growing in size and weight as well. This is how the universe works. If you don't direct it, it will grow in the sense that it wants to grow, not in the sense that you thought that you meant. It's what you say and how you acted with accordingly. So I was shown that I was starting to grow again and getting gordito, as my father was told. He was El Gordo. This is more intimate, but this we start decoding the nicknames, the frequencies, the names around us, to start decoding what's in there. So I was becoming my own father, or working a lot of the things of fathering, and I started becoming fat. And regulations, limits, paternal role, and I started getting fat because I have linked that there. That's a personal example, an application. So I have revelations of that, and then I could decode of what patterns will appear in where those roles, where those sphinxes are going to be located in my life. So each of you has one universe of meanings that we can decode with this framework, and also keep going in your path. So let's keep going, not stuck there in growth. Then now this is possible to keep going because we have grown in this understanding. Make sense? This is in the moment application. So now new things are possible. So there are things that are possible for me now that before growth was not. So the Sphinxes here. When we're about to start something new, what happens? We can get at the door waiting. Waiting is the main sphinx of this step. And when you are willing to do something about and not wait, what comes? Justification. And I have Justina in the screen. Justification. I justify why I'm not doing it. Or why yes, and maybe no, this is not the best moment, that's why I justify myself not doing it. Or I justify my waiting. I'm waiting because they told me to wait. I am doing this because they told me. Justifying why I'm doing things because others are ruling my universe. That's one of the sphinxes that can catch us here. Justification of why I do what I do and why my possibilities are my possibilities, and I keep justifying because the world is like that and these are my possibilities, and I keep justifying my world. If you don't catch that sphinx there, it will, all the opportunities when you're about to start something, the justifications will block it. Or I start getting angry at the outside world, the world outside. Making an outside combat. This is here. Doing an outside combat. It's like I don't solve it in me, and because I believe that it's the world that is not allowing me, I will fight against the world. Because the world is the problem. And that doesn't allow me to do things. The world is the problem, so I will fight the world so I don't change myself. Sounds familiar? Everyone is, the other is wrong. The other is wrong, so I have to fight against the other. No. This is when we do the crossing to when really the other is failing. And I don't have to get caught in the war against the other or combating against the other. Because when the other is failing, when I need the other the most, and the other fails, it's not a justification to not do what I'm doing. This does nothing stops you. This is a way to become impossible. It's impossible to be disrupted. This is to become master of your reality independently. Independent reality. That's what the Buddha teaches after the Four Noble Truths. Independently of the external events. You don't need the external events for your things to happen. You make them happen. That's the masculine line. For the ones who have seen the sexual forces, this is a masculine line. You make them happen and not become dependent on the other. Here, if you do the Bi-Phasic Ignition properly, that you have revised, if what you're creating is yours, if what you're saying is aligned, if these are your ideas, what you're saying, how are you feeling, all the confirmations of the oracles and the signs around, and then you are facing the test, step 5, that was all what we are checking today is to pass the test, step 5. Then, it probably, you have cleared the step 0, the step 1, 0, that is what you're doing, you're not failing, and the others start failing. Others start replicating the failures that you had before. So, if you were loud, and suddenly you really tame your loudness, you really tame your fault, your flaw, let's say. And now the others start screaming. That's how it usually appears, like the others start screaming and the environment keeps being loud, that will trigger you to start screaming again. That's how the Sphinxes operate here. So you start failing as the other. That's one of the Sphinxes here. Is 2 eyes. This is the quadrant of the eyes. I look what I need in the other. I look... if the other is blind, if one eye is blind, I fail and I cross my eyes too. So I get blind as the other. If the other is loud, I don't see the fault and I start acting with that blindness or like loudness as well. That's the Sphinx that can catch us there. The Sphinx of the symbols here. Not seeing that the other is failing comes first. Okay, I may not even detect that I do not see that the other is failing. So I don't recognize the mistakes of the others, and I just let them be. And let them ruin my reality because the others are mistaking. No. This is independent but not weak. Our reality is independent. I don't depend. I can work together. I work together with everything. Everything is on my favor. If the other is failing, I cannot waste the opportunity of using the failure of the other towards my manifestation. Because it's there for that. The magician takes everything. This is Aikido. This is energy work. We are like, then after we cross this step, we are in the step 6, that is energy work. The energy dynamics. So we need to understand to find the resources. When the other is failing, that's also in my favor. And the last things that we're going to see is the covering of that failure. Okay, I see it, but no, that's how he is. No, he just hits me, but that's how he is. Because poor his childhood, and I just keep letting him hit me. Because poor is not a failure, it's not a defect. It's just how he is. And I start applying the covering of the failure of the other to get stuck in there. I need the other to change, but it's just how he is. I cannot change him. I cannot change what the other represents. Remember, we are not trying to change the person or their reality, but what the other represents to me. So we go to the more subtle sources of the causes of what is manifesting into me. You can rewatch this because I think it's going to be very valuable to rewatch this and take notes of this, take the screenshot, fill it up. So we can close this practical class of the first 5 steps that are where usually most people get stuck and keep operating as beginners, as people that are not initiated in an initiatic path, in a heroic path, not using their magic. You cannot pretend now that you don't have what you have, because you have these teachings, you have these recordings. You cannot act as if you don't have them. That's the play here. Yes, this is when we are growing. This is a game. This is the game of growth. I am inviting you to grow. I am inviting you to grow because otherwise we are playing the game of I don't have what I do have. You have these teachings. All this comes to the center. When, remember, in the classes we cross quadrants. Otherwise we are going to be moving in a linear way. That is And this makes us slower and consumes much more energy from us. And we learn here to use better our energies, to be better focused and directed in the way of what we want to manifest in our independent reality, despite all the challenges that are emerging. This was about emergency zones and not be scared of emergencies. I'm scared of the emergencies that are happening, and that takes away from my power. I have a fragile reality because I depend on its external phenomena, who is going to be the leader of whatever. We cannot have this weakness of reality. We take everything. And I will just close with this beautiful anecdote. I was living before I got invited to this initiatic adventure today, this morning, the night before, I was in this hotel, eating very well, and I was not well asleep since I wrote the book. So remember, I pulled an all-nighter writing the book. I sleep 5 hours. Then I was stressed about some things that were there. Sleep another 5 hours, and I arrived to this hotel to refill and regenerate and everything. The owner of the place tells me, "Are you a person that wakes up early?" And I was about to go to sleep. It was 9 and it was like, not really sometimes, but when it's something important, when there's something sacred, I do it. It's not because of how I am, because it kicked in. It was like, no, usually wake up at 9, 10, it's like, and it's cold. It's like, that can be, and I got the not receiving of the opportunity. Then, okay, depending on what, okay, if it's something sacred, I do it. And I woke up at 5:30, even that I had slept 5 hours, and had the most incredible experience from the tree in the Stonehenge, there in the Valley of the Hell, with this deeper wisdom that I am still integrating it. And yes, that's what happened when we can read the signs. I was not stopped by my own limitations, by the timing of the other, that was cold, that I needed to see first. No, I didn't know, I just went. It's like, okay, we're going to walk 2 kilometers in the dark when it's in the 6 in the morning here in Germany where it's cold. So what happened? I act on it. It was beautiful, beautiful morning. We went by car to beautiful places. A new place to live opened up, and opportunities that are like not even thought, were not in my universe before. But now my universe expanded because of the opportunities that came here. The source of life that I was looking for crystal clear water, purified water, a place in the forest, a place to do retreat, the initiatic places. There was a Stonehenge in the dark forest in the place of the hell, you know? I was like, what better place than that? And if I had said no because of who I am, because what time of the thing, or what happened to me before, that I didn't sleep because I'm justifying, those opportunities would have been lost. So yes, that for bringing a synthesis of this process of the initiatic path and the emergency zones, the bi-phase ignition. Don't underestimate the bi-phase ignition. That's why I'm bringing this resource of revising again the first 4 steps. Or 3, so we don't get stuck in the how I am feeling, or what is my imaginary believing that I'm creating, and it's like we get deluded by not doing the bi-phase ignition. So for this, and a very, very practical bi-phase ignition is sleeping a siesta. Sleeping a siesta is like, okay, my day started wrong, what I wanted to do and what was the course that I set didn't happen. I get a lot of stimulation until I saturate. Okay, I will pull myself off into the void again. I go to sleep and I start over. Make sense? I go back here, and then the bi-phase ignition, I redefine what are my results, what is possible to me. I redefine my what. It's like from where I'm coming and my what. What do I really want? And that will place us in the map again and get us back on track. What do I want to manifest today? What do I want to manifest? Or what's my intention for this? And we are starting to live more purposefully because we are deciding over the purpose and the meaning that everything we do has and brings us. So let's go get in trouble, in problems. Why do I say this? Because the chapter of the book I'm writing is a phrase that inspired my mentor, that is, in problems you will find yourself. You will find yourself in troubles. You will find yourself in troubles. In troubles you will find yourself. So all of this is not to be free of the drama of the ego. I promise, until the day you die, and exactly in the day you die, will keep the drama of the ego will appear. You will have to learn how to let die some things in you. We are practicing. I promise that all this drama, the emerging things that are coming in life, we are practicing each day. So let's not wait until that moment comes and we suddenly got waiting at the door, or because of waiting, we get held at the door when we try to pass. Yes, you can watch the class of Learning How to Die as well, because I'm as well in the funeral, and not avoiding trouble, decoding the trouble and owning and taming in a heroic, masterful way. That's what I propose, because we will not be able to escape, be trouble-free. We can change our attitude to transform it and live a heroic way. Thank you, family. Thank you for watching and sharing if you believe this is useful for persons that may be stuck in one of these Sphinxes and may need this amulet and way into their way. Thanks.